Hello. Happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. I decided to do the Motivational Monday video a little bit earlier this afternoon instead of this evening so I can go to bed early. So it's already been a whirlwind of a day. So how y'all all doing? And you already know what I'm going to say. If you're watching this on replay, it's already this evening. Hello. Hope you had a great day. If you're watching it on a different day, just thank you for joining in. And just put hashtag replay so I can know what time you're watching. Hello. How you doing? So I'm on here, and this May, I'm looking at the time. Hi, peace and blessings. It's 3:07. So I'm going to see how this goes because I was supposed to talk about one thing and then something came up that I want to talk about really quickly. So depending on how quick I talk about the first thing, I can actually do the talk that I wanted to do. But it was something about it that said it was equally as important. So here we go. So for today's Motivational Monday, we're talking about enoughness. Whether that's a word or not, it's up for debate. But I'm going to say enoughness, meaning are we enough? And curiosity, because curiosity was my word all weekend long, and I'm sticking to it. So first, I want to tell you the little story, a little conversation that I had this morning. Last night, our doggy Mac, who is a adventurous little boy, and he'll be one next month. He's very much still a puppy. Gets into everything, tears up everything, tries to escape the house every chance he gets. And we put a gate up for him. Still finds ways to escape. And, I can tie it in. Boom, I got it. Because he's curious. He's curious and he's always discovering new things. So he discovers ways to get out the gate. So I'm assuming sometime yesterday evening, he was trying to get out the gate and he thought maybe he could jump over the lowest point of the gate. And unfortunately, he got snagged under his front leg and must have fell for a while just lying there until Walter went out. He wasn't crying. He wasn't barking. He was hurt. Barely could walk. Long story short, we had to take him to the vet this morning. We couldn't get him in this morning. We called the vet and they couldn't take him into 12 noon. So before then, our son, Ty, was taking his learner's permit for his driver's license. So we had to get up and do that. We had to jump Caleb's car so he can get to work and feed all the animals and do all the things, being an adult, right? And I'm like, we always got something going on. We can just never just relax. I'm all about relaxing. We came from a really relaxing retreat over the weekend, Liberty Yoga. If you're in the Newark area, definitely check them out. And they also are online because they do Zoom classes. So just a shout out to them. The retreat was amazing. I felt so relaxed. I felt so comfortable. I really felt poured into. And I really appreciated that. And it's like, okay, my Monday, I want to coast into that. So I didn't have any clients scheduled today because I knew I was going to come off a retreat. I was going to be really relaxed. And I just wanted to meditate on everything that has happened, right? And really ease into the week. But that didn't happen. And I'm grateful that we have the ability to do these things for our animals, for our children. But it's a lot. It's always something going on. So, I asked, well, and I guess it was a period of like, I don't know, doubt maybe, or insecurity creeping up, because no matter how confident we may be, we still have like moments where we can feel insecure or doubtful. And I just asked him, I was like, we always got something going on. It's always stressors. Like, do you think like we're, a better couple because of the amount of stress we go on? Like, the stress is what makes us so solid as a couple, because we've been through things since the beginning of our relationship started with COVID. And with his father passing away, and then I lost people that were really important to me, and then divorce, and the drama with that, and having all these kids, and all of them having issues and different things. So I was wondering, and then, everybody knows, and thank you for your thoughts and prayers for my mother-in-law. She's doing better, but she's older, so we always, worry about her, and I have to deal with different things with that. And then I have my own health conditions, and Walter has his own health conditions. So it's like we never had an easy time. And even though we are so happy to be together, and we're so joyous, and what you see is truly what we are best friends. Oftentimes I'm like, what would our life be if it wasn't so chaotic? So I'm a little cold. You see, I got my hat on. What would my life be? So I asked him, like, do you think that our life would be better without the amount of stress we have? Or is the stress what makes our relationship good? Is the stress which built us and made us strong? And he said something that will fundamentally change how I view not our relationship, but myself. So he said, our relationship is strong despite the stressors, not because of the stressors. Let me say that again. He said that our relationship is strong despite the amount of stress that we're under and the things that we had to overcome over the 3.5 years we've been together. And when he said that, it hit me, because so many times, especially as a survivor, which I am, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So survivorhood is all up and through this month. Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Lupus Awareness Month. So it's so many things that we all on here that may be watching have survived and overcome, whether it's trauma, whether it was loss, whether it's disappointment, whether it's divorce, whether it's heartache, heartbreak, career challenges, financial challenges, whatever. To understand that we go through all these things, and often we're told we're so strong. We were built for that thing that we overcome. To say, those things made you who you are, that built character and strength and determination. You kind of then wear your victimhood as a badge, and your strength is a reflection of that. But oftentimes you're thinking like, I didn't want to be this strong. I didn't want to have to go through all these things. And I don't really think that I had to go through those things to make me who I am. I'm talking about devastating stuff. I'm not talking about losses, because we all have to experience, not winning, hearing no, having challenges to push us through. However, There are people with devastating life experiences. Like for me, at 5 years old, on my birthday, finding out my father was murdered. Like, did that change my life? Yes. Did I need that to be the person I am? Like, that's kind of hard to understand. So when he said, our relationship is strong despite the stresses, I realized that I am enough despite all that I've been through. That I was already enough. The day I was born, I was enough. And then all those things that happened really shook the foundation and core of who I thought I was. But the truth remained the same. I was enough. I was valuable. I was good. And when he said that to me about the relationship, that it reconfirmed a lot of things I thought about myself. Because I always question, like, well, I've been through all these things. I wouldn't be able to do all the things I do now if I didn't go through all these things. I wouldn't meet all the, the people that I have in my life. I wouldn't have the kids I have. And when he said that to me, it just made me feel like I am enough. And I don't know why I needed that message today. But I was so grateful that he said it. And said it so nonchalantly that I can recognize that on the outside looking in, it's like everything is like hunky-dory. Lakia has no stressors. And people who see me in that light often are offended when I am protecting my peace, because I do have a lot going on in my life. And I cannot have space for people that add stress when I'm maxed out on the amount of stress that I can handle. Hello, beautiful Queen Yolanda. Hello. I appreciate you jumping on and saying anything. Anybody else on, definitely say hello so I can give you a shout out. So enoughness is what I'm going to call it. We are inherently worthy and deserving of a beautiful life. The day we're born worthy of a beautiful life. Life happens to us and we start to question our worthiness, and oftentimes can either fall into, I'm not worthy, so I might as well not try. I'm not deserving, so I might as well not try. I'm going to fail, so I might as well not try. No one's going to support me, so I might as well not try. We all heard those things. Then it can be the other extreme of not feeling enough. If I'm going to overcompensate to prove that I'm enough because I don't feel enough. So I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to get straight A's. I'm going to be an honor student. When I make mistakes, I'm going to be super hard on myself, super critical of who I am. I'm going to support everyone else to have a beautiful life, because I know a beautiful life is not going to happen in my lifetime. I've been through too much, right? And I actually been on both sides of that spectrum of just being really harsh with myself, overly critical with myself, but then also overcompensating on what I give to others because I wanted them to tell me that I was worthy. So oftentimes I didn't feel worthy, so I'm like, I'm going to give for someone that love me. I'm going to love people so hard that they'll love me. I'm going to over forgive people so they can love me. I'm going to hold my tongue and not say how I feel and think about situations. Or I'm going to be agreeable to stuff that did not sit with my morals and values because I wanted to feel worthy. And once we learn and experience enoughness, that even in the messiness, we are enough, that all those things that happen to us outside of our control did not negate our worth. we are not less worthy because we experience a harsh beginning of our life. We're not less worthy because we've been married once or twice. We're not less worthy because we have children out of wedlock. We're not less worthy because we don't have a 6-figure income or drive a nice car. We're not less worthy because we can't speak eloquently and flashy like other people, that's in the fields we want to be in. We're not less worthy if we didn't graduate from college or get a master's degree or get a doctorate degree. Because I was even there. Like, I got my master's. Like, I got to get my doctorate. Why? Because I feel like people would listen to me more if I have a doctorate. Like, kid, that's not a reason to get a doctorate. Especially when you got to pay for it or you got to get student loans. Like, hella no. I am worthy and I have something meaningful to say, even without those titles and those degrees. And you may be on here feeling that same way. Like, if I just did this, I'll be more worthy. I'll be more valued. I'll be more respected. And what my husband showed me today is that none of that shit matters. I said it. None of it matters. My relationship is good with him, not because we live in this like fairy tale land. Oftentimes it feels like a fairy tale to me, though. It's not because of that. It's because we have a solid, healthy relationship, that we work together. We're good partners. We communicate well. We value our time together. Our intimacy comes top of everything, on top of our children, top of our families, top of our business. Our bond together means more to both of us than anything else. So all the stressors that we have are all manageable under that lens, right? But if we didn't have those stressors, we'd probably be really obnoxious. So I wanted to talk about a little bit about enoughness and, so true. Oh, and you are amazing, but I can see where that can happen because for us, especially, and I'm speaking that I know I have women of all colors, all cultures on my platform. And I wanted to say it's hard to be a human being right now, but it's a certain level that a Black woman would experience that no other woman in the world would experience. The weight of needing to be perfect and seen a certain way. And then the trauma of being a Black woman in America just really adds on to that. So I definitely agree with you, Yolanda. And I hope as you continue to see yourself, you recognize that you are enough as you are right now today. Because a lot of times we are hard on ourselves. We'll be enough when we lose this amount of weight. We'll be enough when we get the degree. We'll be enough when we get the man. We got enough when we get the kids. And it's not about any of that. We are enough. So I actually did it in a good amount of time. So I'm happy about that. Hey, Christine. Thanks for joining. Happy Monday. And the second part, so what I was originally going to talk about, I have enough time to talk about it because if you just pop it on, you'll watch the beginning and you'll see what I'm talking about. But the second topic was curiosity, because that was my word for the weekend. Like again, I said that I was at Liberty Yoga's wellness retreat, and me and Walt was asked to be a presenter there, and we did a mix-up. Yes, you got to watch the replay. We did a mix-up of my letting go class and his art over anxiety class. And I think we're going to be doing that class a little bit more because I really felt it was something special created in that space where we both did a workshop together. And normally at our retreats, you see us separately in our workshops, not together. So in that weekend, we had so many words, so many good talks. We had so many workshops that were just so, hi TJ, so many revelatory moments, I'll say. And for me, the word curiosity kept on creeping back in, because when you think about being curious, you know, you're trying to figure it out. Like I talked about my dog, trying to figure out. When we're curious about ourselves, we explore who we are. And I guess it does tie into enoughness, because for you to figure out that you're enough, you have to know who you are. It's like, how do you know something is enough unless you go and see, is it enough? So I wanted to, I'm going to pull it up. I want to, and I should have had it ready. I want to pull up the post that I made, because it was really what led me to say I'm going to do a whole talk about it. So it says, curiosity is one of the most important building blocks to meaningful connection. You have to be curious about yourself and curious about the person or persons you want to connect to. If you are feeling lonely or you feeling disconnected, ask yourself, am I curious about me, who I am, and who I was? And number 2, am I curious about others? Whether it's their likes, their dislikes, their passions, their motivation, or hobbies. It's no way to build meaningful connections. And that's what One Trip Over the Moon is all about, is building meaningful connections. That's what I am all about, is building meaningful connections with others. It's no way you can do that without being first having a connection with yourself. So you have to have a connection with yourself before you can connect healthy connection with anyone else. So if you find yourself in an unhealthy space with another person, one or both of you are not fully connected with yourself in a way that can be healthy for another partner. And that can be not just romantic, it can be friendships, it can be family, it can be business colleagues. So, when you talk about self-love, which I often do, you have to talk about, what does it take to love yourself? Well, you can't love somebody you don't know. And if you spent your whole life trying to figure out what others wanted for you, and if you spent your whole life listening to what other people said you were, you're going to have to do some discovery. You're going to have to do some exploration to figure out who you are. This is the fun part. It could be very scary. For me, it was hella scary, but it also was fun. Oh my God, he's so wise. You have to figure yourself out. What do you like? What do you really like? Not what you tolerate, not that you like because other people like it, that you like. You know how you like somebody, so you want to do what they do, and that's okay. But do they do what you do sometimes? Do they like what you like sometimes? Can you show them some things that you enjoy equally? That is a relationship, But if you don't know what you like, you gotta, and you're in the land of the living, because you're watching this, you're in the land of the living, you have time to figure it out. It can be writing down the things that you used to enjoy as a child. I talked about this before in other videos, that our childhood really can tap onto the things that can help us cope positively and the things that trigger us. It's a lot to unpack when you talk about your childhood. But On the positive end, the things that we used to do to calm ourselves down, to self-regulate, to experience joy, whether it's like drawing with chalk or painting or coloring or dancing or singing, or baking, like those things that literally was like unadulterated, unfiltered fun as a kid, normally don't cost much money because you're a kid. Those things normally we lose as an adult. So rediscovering what you enjoy is a way for you to be curious about yourself. And also, when we have triggers, like this morning, I was like very triggered by like just the stress of the day that I didn't think was going to be a stressful day. I had to be curious. So why am I triggered in this moment? Why did I say that? Why did I need validation? I statements about me. A lot of times when we're trying to build connections, we're thinking that person needs to be what I need. And if that person misses the mark, then something's wrong, like with that person. It may be true, but did we look at ourselves? Like, what part are we playing in the interactions in our life? What part are we playing in the pain in our life? Being curious about that. And I think curiosity builds accountability. Because then if you know, you can do something about it, right? And then that's how we grow. But then also, on the other side, I have met with so many clients, experienced so many people who are not curious about other people. You may know this, and you can raise your hand if you have met somebody like this who only talks about themselves. If you're having a conversation, they're only talking about them. Only talking about, and I'm not talking about me, because I'm a therapist, so I'm not talking about therapeutic settings where they're paying to talk about themselves. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about them talking about other interactions that they have, whether it's a therapeutic thing, or myself having interactions with people, or watching other people interact with each other, because I'm an observer. Because I recognize that I have always been curious about people. I've always been curious about the way the world works. And I think, just like TJ, curiosity is a beautiful thing in childhood. And if we're allowed to be curious and ask questions, and ask why, and not be told like, because I said so, because that's like the killer of curiosity, right? Because I said so, because I told you. And really like figure it out and let them figure out as a child, then you grow up and you can have really curious adult. But if you are told to stay in a child place often, that children are supposed to be seen, not heard often, that because I said so, because I'm the adult, when you hear that message over and over and over as a child, you almost feel, scared. Let's make it the easiest word. You'll be scared as an adult to be curious anymore, because your curiosity was often punished or ridiculed or made fun of. So that's why you always go back to childhood, So as adults, many of us are still healing from childhood. And then we still had life. We came an adult and we still have life and bills and our own children and our own relationships and our own jobs and financial issues. So when we got even room to be curious, and in that, curiosity gives you a gift. Like, why am I overwhelmed? Do I have so much on my plate so I don't have to think about what is stressing me? Do I have so much on my plate that I don't have to sit in the feelings I feel right now? Because sometimes we keep ourselves busy so we don't really feel the weight of our reality. And let's be curious about that. Why is it so? What can we do about it? So going back to the people who want connections with people, but when it's time to have a connection with somebody and talk, they only talk about themselves. I seen it in real time where someone was talking to someone else and they never not asked the other person anything, not one question. Just like, this is my life, this is my life, this is what I do, da 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 da. And the other person just sitting there. And I was thinking how painful that is for both of them. Because the one who's saying all these things, they're saying it because they want to build a meaningful connection with the other person. Because why would they share all these things otherwise? Whether it's a connection for that moment or whether it's a long-term connection. Because some connections are just for a moment, just a conversation. But then the other person who just like, yeah. I was curious of whether they were just being polite or whether they were feeling like left out of the conversation, but they didn't feel strong enough to communicate that. Maybe they were the one who's always talked at and told, be quiet. So even though the conversation was very one-sided, they never spoke up. And I was very curious about that. And oftentimes I recognized in the past that I was one of those. I'll let people talk at me all day and never ask how I'm doing, or at the very end of a conversation or very end of a call, do they say like, hey, how you doing? And I make it short because they spent so much time talking about them. I just didn't have the energy anymore. And I had to be curious about why am I interacting with people that way? And I think it was because for me, I'm not saying it's for anyone else, but for me, it's because that instant role of people pleasing I go to when I'm feeling stressed, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, and when I'm feeling unsafe, it's better for me to get along with the person across from me than to debate them, to disagree with them, to make my point heard. That's a deep-seated narrative that I carried all these years to 40 years old, So knowing that that's something deep-seated within me, I had to be very careful as I'm being curious about what it's for. I had to be very careful of how I'm talking to people, how I'm showing up for people, how I'm showing up for myself. And am I being curious about those people? Am I asking meaningful questions when I meet someone new to see whether we can have a connection or not? Am I speaking up about the things I like, dislike, passions? And so I can weed out people who are not for me, or am I just playing it safe and just saying anything so everyone can like me? And I realize if we have people and everyone likes you, you're probably a people pleaser. But if you have some people who just like, oh, where he get the nerve? Where she get the nerve? That's because you're probably more truthful in your authentic self. So let's be curious about those things. Meaningful connections come from two healthy people having healthy interactions. And I don't mean healthy as like nothing's wrong with you, because clearly from the top of my video, I said we all have stressors. We all have things going on. But it's like, how do we communicate that? How do we stay curious about the other person when the stress is happening, when the grief is happening, when the loss, the trauma, the devastation, whatever is happening? Are you curious about what's going on for the other person? Or are you just hell-bent on that person understanding you? And if you are, we're not going to put a value on it of like good, bad, right, and wrong. We're going to be curious about, why did I need him or her to understand me so bad that I could not listen to them? Why did I have a reaction, that type of reaction to something someone said? What does that bring up for me? And as we begin to be curious about our own motives, our own intentions, our own triggers, our own desires, our own shame and guilt, and the own narratives we carry, we can be curious about other people. Even if they're causing us hurt and pain, we can be curious about what caused them to do that. Doesn't mean we have to allow them to continue to hurt us. No, that's silly. But we can be curious about what led them to treat you that way, you know? And some of it is just a lack of self-awareness on their part. They're not even aware of what they did or what they said or how they acted or interacted with you that caused you to move a different way. And instead of being mad at that, I have learned to be curious. And be curious about, like, why does that bother me? Or why doesn't it bother me? Those kind of things. Because it does very much tie into feeling enough. If we feel like we are enough, we can genuinely communicate our enoughness with the next person. And by doing that, we can also, because we know we're enough, we don't have to overcompensate. We can give people room to show who they really are sooner than later. And you can make a decision. Is this something I want to move forward with? Or will I not move forward with that? And it's not that it's a bad or good thing, right or wrong thing. It's just, I am enough. And because I am enough, I know that I deserve healthy connections. And if someone is triggering me, even by accident, I need to be aware of what it is about them that's triggering me and what do I need to do about it. And sometimes it is taking that person out your life. Sometimes it is limiting your interaction with that person. Sometimes it is having a real conversation about what the triggers are and see, are they curious enough about you to figure out how to work it out, you know? But it goes down to knowing that you are valuable, that you are worthy. And when you know these things to be true about yourself, you interact with people in your most authentic self. And when you do that, there will be people who do not like you. When I talk about meaningful connections and I talk about curiosity, I said you have to be connected to yourself to connect with anyone else in a healthier way. And I forgot to say, and I will not forget to say, there is no way you can go on a journey to figure out who you are without figuring out who created you. I'm talking about heavenly creation, whether you say Heavenly Father, whether you say Lord, whether you say God, whether you say Jehovah, whether you say Allah. I'm not talking about that. That's something that everyone has to figure out for themselves. What does that mean? But you can't really know yourself without knowing and having a deep knowing and relationship with your Creator. So for me, doing this healing journey, I got so much deeper into my faith and my walk with God. I serve God through Jesus Christ. I am a Christian, meaning follower of Christ, not no Republican Christian. So let's just get that straight. I believe in humanity. I believe in people's rights. I believe in everyone deserves love and should be treated with love and respect. And I oftentimes shy away from saying Christian in that way because right now it's so divisive in society. And I'm curious about how people look, you know, and I'm responsive of how people look when you say you're a certain faith over another. I have really good friends that are all different faiths, and I have to honor them as much as they honor me. And it doesn't mean we're trying to change each other's mind, as we all living in our truth and we're all figure it out. That's it. We'll all figure out what it is when it's time. You know what I mean? But me, what aligns with my spirit self is to follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. So that's who I am. Do I have clients with different faiths than me? Yes. Can I talk to them about their faith without offending myself? Yes. Why? Because I am enough. Therefore, I know they are enough. And I'm secure and I am. And when you get offended by somebody else's belief, that's really fear. Because somebody else can't change your beliefs. You have to change it on your own. That's a whole different thing. But that's a whole different thing. But what I'm saying is about continue to be curious about yourself. Be curious about your purpose on this earth in whichever form that takes. And there has to be a connection with the divine. It's the only way you're going to figure it out truly. It's what you're here for, to figure it out. And we all go into our own paths, and we have to be curious about our path and be curious about people who put in our path for various reasons. And each person is put in our life, each obstacle, everything is to get us closer to figuring out who we are truly. So, no more right and wrong for me. No more bad and good interactions. A lady, her name is Leslyn. She's on Instagram, I think, and on Facebook. And I think her tag is This Is Leslyn. She's a therapist, and she did one of the talks at the retreat. And she said something that I think I'm going to end with. But I'll explain it a little bit different than she did. Because as a therapist, I understood what she was saying. But people who weren't therapists probably overspoke them. But it was a very great talk. She said, many of us say it is what it is. And I'm like, yeah, I say that all the time. It is what it is, you know. If you say is what it is, I want you to type is what it is on here. She said, but if it is what it is, that means it was what it was. And I was like, oh my God. So, because if it is what it is, that means it was what it was, meaning the past is the past. We can't go back and we can't change it. We can't manipulate it. We can't dream of it to be better. We can't romanticize it, you know, and we can't demonize ourselves of who we were to get through all we had to get through in the past. We cannot do that because we only had the information we had at that time. Now, who we are now, we have a certain amount of new information, which if we had this information when we were 20, when we were 15, when we were 35, when we were 40, when we were 50, we would have made different choices, right? But we did not have the information. So why are we judging ourselves, our past selves, off of information we have about ourselves right now? That is not fair. That is not self-love. We cannot love this version of ourselves without loving the past versions of ourselves. And that's the thing that I wanted to say that I don't think really was said, was you cannot love this version of yourself. This version meaning the current version of yourself. If you're on a self-love journey, there is no way. I have even tried to love my current self and shame my past self. Like, who told her to do those things? She messed up. She made choices. She knew better. Like, I'm saying these things. How did she know better? How did she know better? If she knew better, she would have did better. So we're going to give her compassion, or him if you a male on here. We're going to give him or her compassion for the choices she had to make that he had to make before they got to where you are right now. You're going to love them. Up until this point, you're going to love them. Because each day we die to our old selves and we are reborn to our new self. And if you understand I'm not the Lakia from yesterday. I'm just not. Why? Because yesterday I was curious and I gained some more information about myself and about my relationship to people in this world, relationship to my God, relationship to the environment. And I go to sleep. I wake up a new person with new data to work with. So it's no way we can still be holding on to choices that we have done in the past, or, this is radical, we cannot hold on to the choices that other people made in the past anymore. And we should be curious why we can't let it go and really explore what we need to do. And letting it go does not mean giving open invitation to people who hurt you, abuse you, mistreat you, underestimate you, another chance to double back and do it again. Sometimes triple back. It is saying, I release the emotional ties to those moments. I release them. I'm curious on who I am today, and I'm excited about who I'm going to be tomorrow. And I'm always going to be exploring what she has to offer me, what she has to offer the world, what does she have to offer God each day. How radical is that? So I told one of my friends, I don't know if she's still on here, Christine, that I am no longer, and I'm not saying no longer like today. I'm talking about no longer meaning like this year. This year been the best year for me to really focus on myself and really work on those things. I am no longer doing that match energy with energy. I'm not saying that anymore. And I think if you may see a post that I have done, you may see me even say, I'm matching energy with energy, but that person is gone. We got to give ourselves forgiveness and move on like, nope, I'm not doing that. Because this version of me says I don't want to match energy with energy because my vibration is so high, even when I'm stressed. My vibration is so high that if I match energy for energy, I got to bring myself lower most times. So I'm going to match effort, E-F-F-O-R-T, effort for effort. Whatever effort someone makes for me is the effort that I will put back for them. My energy is always going to be positive towards them. It's going to be love. It's going to be light because that's who I am. And when I went on this self-discovery, I have always been that since I was born. Love and light. I just got tired of stifling my voice to appease other people. I got tired of stifling my voice to not upset anyone. I got tired of stifling my voice so I can keep friends and family close that I love very dearly. And I got tired of covering my light because I felt like other people would think I'm better. And it's not that. I am light. I am a healer. I am wise beyond my years. And I have to own that part of me. Not out of conceit, but out of confidence that I really did the work and I learned who I am. So, anybody who knew me yesterday, I give you permission to be curious about who I am today. And people who knew me last year or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I'm not that same person. And I'm not going to be tethered to her anymore to prove a point. I released her. I gave her grace. I told her thank you. And I'm curious to see who connects with this version of me. And so far, I've been blown away. There are people who rock with me for many versions of myself, and they have many versions of themselves. And I'm so grateful that we can do this together. And I'm honored that you gave me space to grow in front of you. And there are some people who only knew this version of me. And how wonderful is that? Because I don't have to explain how far I've come. They just accept me who I am. And there are some people that although I untethered myself from the past versions of myself, are hell-bent to hold me to the standard of who I once was. And that will be your hard part. That will be your cross to bear, because you're going to have to choose your current version of yourself or who other people still think you are. And if you be yourself, authentic, there will be people who will leave your life. Whether intentional, whether just life paths go different ways, or whether you have to let them go. And all of that is healthy, and there is no value of good and bad in all of that, because all those interactions were meaningful no matter what they turned out to be. So, as I close, and I did it good, I did it under an hour. If you're just jumping on, hello, happy Monday. Definitely, when I hang this up, I want you to go back and try to watch the top of the hour when you have time. We're talking about enoughness and curiosity, and how that was integral as a part of my healing journey, the healing journey of my clients and the people that I know. The most powerful counselors and healers I know have been on a healing journey for these last few years. Something has shifted and changed, I must say, in the past 5 years, but definitely during COVID, where healers had this space to get healing themselves. And I'm so proud of all of us healers, all of us movers and shakers, all of our therapists and counselors. I'm so proud of us, because we're really doing the work, because we can't go further. We can't bring our clients further than we have gone. We can't inspire people to levels that we have not accomplished. And I'm not talking about on the physical realm. I'm talking about emotional development and maturity and healing and spirituality. We cannot take people further than we went. So for all of us out here, cheers to the healing journey. I am with you. I love you. I am proud of you. Just like I'll say to myself, I am so proud of you, Lakia, for how far you've come, and where I am very curious to see where you land. Take care. Peace and blessings, everyone. Bye.